Hi, Wellspring. I wanted to share a quick exhortation with you today. A couple weeks ago, I was troubled to read an article online from a major publisher about Samaritan's Purse and the emergency medical unit that they've set up in New York City in Central Park in order to help with the overflow from the hospitals of the extreme number of COVID-19 cases that they're seeing over there. And the article was really negative towards Franklin Graham and towards Samaritan's Purse because they said there's a lot of problems in terms of how they treat people and the way they act. And as I read through the article, what I discovered was that the accusations against Samaritan's Purse and against Franklin Graham himself were actually accusations based on the fact that he runs a Christian organization and he's a Christian himself, and he seeks to follow the Lord and seeks to be a gospel witness and light around the world. And so it was really striking to me that he was being criticized for doing exactly what a Christian ought to be doing. And in the middle of that, he was also, as an organization, trying to care for sick and hurting people. And then I was reading through Isaiah a couple days later, and I read this story about Sennacherib, the king of Assyria, coming to invade Hezekiah in Judah. And there's this really interesting dialogue that takes place between Sennacherib's representative, Rabshakeh, and Hezekiah's representatives there on the wall. And before I get to that part, though, I wanted to read to you about Hezekiah and what the Lord said about Hezekiah and how the Lord felt about him. Here's 2 Kings chapter 18, verse 3. He, Hezekiah, did right in the sight of the Lord according to all that his father David had done. He removed the high places and broke down the sacred pillars and cut down the Asherah. He also broke in pieces the bronze serpent that Moses had made, for until those days the sons of Israel burned incense to it, and it was called Nehushtan. He trusted in the Lord, the God of Israel, so that after him there was none like him among all the kings of Judah, nor among those who were before him. For he clung to the Lord. He did not depart from following him, but kept his commandments, which the Lord had commanded him. So Hezekiah was a good king. Hezekiah trusted the Lord. He was working on ridding Judah of idolatry, of all of these places of idol worship around the nation where people went, and instead of worshiping God as he ought to be worshipped in the temple there in Judah, in Jerusalem, they were doing all sorts of weird stuff that they weren't supposed to be doing. So Hezekiah came in and he tore all that stuff down, he removed it. And then this is what is said about Hezekiah by this foreign nation, by Rabshakeh, who comes from Assyria, and he's coming to lay siege against Jerusalem, or at least to threaten siege. This is what he says to the men on the wall. Then Rabshakeh said to them, "Say now to Hezekiah, thus says the great king of Assyria, what is this confidence that you have? I say, your counsel and strength for the war are only empty words. Now on whom do you rely that you have rebelled against me? Behold, you rely on the staff of this crushed reed, even Egypt, on which if a man leans it will go into his hand and pierce it. So is Pharaoh, king of Egypt, to all who rely on him." Listen to this. "But if you say to me, we trust in the Lord our God, is it not he whose high places and whose altars Hezekiah has taken away, and has said to Judah and Jerusalem, you shall worship before this altar?" So he's making this claim that Hezekiah is actually against the Lord, and that the Lord should be angry with the people because Hezekiah has torn down these altars, and he's torn down these detestable idol worshiping places. And it just struck me that how often do I listen to the world around me to tell me how a Christian ought to be acting? You know, I read posts on Facebook all the time, and I see news articles and different things, and I hear the world outside, non-Christians, saying, where is the Christian behavior? Where is Christian love? Where is all this stuff that Christians are supposed to be all about? When I see that they're against homosexuality, and when I see that they're proselytizing and shoving their religion down other people's throats. And my temptation is to shrink back from that and to say, oh man, we're failing and we're doing wrong. But the reality is, what does the outside world know about being a Christian? Why should they judge how we serve our God if they know nothing about our God, if they don't know our God? Just like Rabshakeh thought Israel's in big trouble because they've torn down the altars of God. He didn't realize that they were actually in a good place where Hezekiah was commending them to worship the one true God in the way that he demanded worship to be done. And so let that be an exhortation for us today, that let us not be influenced in our living the Christian life, in our serving and following the Lord. Let us not be influenced by the world around us to tell us how to do that. But instead, as Jesus says in John chapter 16, he says, they will know you are Christians by your love for each other. So as we live out the Christian life, the world will look on and either be repulsed because it's something that they know nothing of, or they will be attracted as the Holy Spirit makes us salt and light to a dark, dark world. God bless you today.